The topics that we will discuss today are environments for boosting the collaboration in VIDA regions. I will present this topic. After this, Morten Kildahl will present how to build a trustworthy environment, followed by how to write a successful proposal by Jantienne van der Meij. And the last two topics are next steps in cases of no success, presented by Vereijken, and good practices in the VIDA awarded projects by María Benito. To start with the first topic, environments for boosting collaboration in VIDA regions. This is mainly focusing on clusters. Just to set everybody on the same page, the definition of a cluster is a group of similar things or people who to form a group, sometimes surrounding one team or to make something happening. Clusters overall facilitate the sustainable growth of companies and help changing innovation into economic growth. This is done by business development, support businesses in their internationalization strategies and ambitions, and support promotion of companies and boost interregional collaboration. I will elaborate a little further on the support of businesses in business development. Clusters do that by providing companies support on regional, national, and international level. Also working together with partners that work on such levels, such as regional governments, European thematic platforms, or even the United Nations. They create activities or increase the international business with R&D centers and create environments for innovation. To do so, clusters can provide a network to create a platform for matchmaking between member companies, or by seeking a connection with interesting crossovers. For an example of this is in VIDA, we have organized brokerage events in Zaragoza and Milano, and we've organized webinars and a training such like this one to bring companies together and hopefully spur the collaboration between companies. Another example of this is the Italian cluster, LE2C. They are working on crossovers with energy to promote the transition of low carbon emission technologies in Latin America. Another way to do this is by bringing companies together for innovation, to create environments for innovation. This can be done, for example, by bringing cluster members together and to have a good overview of the activities and the specializations within each member organization, and therefore they can bring companies and the right people together to develop a technology or proposal. For startups, scale-ups, and smaller SMEs, clusters can also provide connections with launching customers or grown-ups, so that the small, medium companies, the scale-ups and the startups can learn from them and learn from each other to their business development. And this can be especially interesting for companies that are now applying for the innovation support voucher and the validation voucher projects. So look around, look for the companies that are maybe in a different industry but are on the same level, and how you can learn from each other, and also look at the companies that have already received vouchers. Creating environments for innovation. One example of this is the Spanish cluster ZINNAE from Zaragoza. They have a commission that identifies and develops innovation projects between its partners. And within the framework of this commission, the main private and public calls for research and development will be monitored. Another example is the Water Alliance, which operates on the Water Campus. We bring together education, science, and business, and the infrastructure, a whole infrastructure of laboratories and testing sites where companies can develop and test their innovations until it's basically an exportable and market-ready product. Finally, a strategic focus. Clusters can help identifying strategically interesting opportunities. For example, again, ZINNAE from Zaragoza has a strategic immersion workshop with the objective to tackle and discuss relevant issues for the water sector. Support business in their internationalization. Clusters can do this by enlarging each other's network. Well, first of all, clusters have a big network of companies in their region or in their country. And by working together, clusters can enlarge the network and also the network of the companies in their membership that have a membership with the clusters. A good example of this, for example, is the Global Water Tech Hub Alliance, in which we as Water Alliance are participating. And we are in this global alliance, we are working together with water tech clusters in 6 other countries, such as Singapore, China, and the USA, and bring companies and cases from the regions together to create business opportunities for the members. So also for you as a SME, it might be relevant to reach out to a cluster in your region or a cluster maybe in another country, but relevant for your industry to benefit from their network and the network of their network, so to say. Clusters also work together in international projects. An example of this is the Vanguard initiative, in which the Italian cluster and we are participating. There's also a network of 30 European regions working on smart specialization strategies. And also, of course, the VIDA project is a great example of cluster organizations in 7 countries working together to spur innovation and business development. If you look at an international stage, cluster representation and branding can support businesses in reaching international customers, especially smaller companies that don't have the means to reach out to their market, which might be overseas. A cluster that presents the whole cluster or a whole industry at an international trade fair can, for example, be an interesting way to reach out to your markets, which might be overseas. Then moving to the next, support and promotion. Well, I already mentioned the possibilities on trade fairs, for example, but also, for example, as a strength in numbers. Small companies, they often can work together. If the cluster is not working together, maybe, or is not facilitating something, small companies can find each other and help each other to go to to access a market that is of their interest. Also, another opportunity, for example, is media, social media. Clusters often have a big media or marketing department that can help or can help spreading the message of the SMEs to a larger public. And through all those opportunities, clusters actually play a vital role in the development of technologies. Also, for example, the VIDA projects, and by helping companies to reach out to their market. Then if we look at environments, other environments, apart from VIDA, in VIDA, as I mentioned already, clusters from 7 different countries are working together. Another network, which is quite interesting and especially focused on companies, is the Enterprise Europe Network. The Enterprise Europe Network is active in 60 countries, so it's basically larger outside Europe than inside Europe, and support is provided on different means, such as innovation support, advice on EU law or intellectual property, business intelligence, market intelligence, and well, the main issue is to develop international partnerships. If you look at multinationals, they always know where to find their the technologies or the innovations they need, but a small company based in one region might not be able to find a small company that has the technology or the expertise that they're looking for. And to bring companies together, there is a database that has over 10,000 queries from companies looking for a partnership. So if you're looking to expand your market, you're looking for a distributor, go to the database because your match might be there. If not, there is also matchmaking events that are being organized through the Enterprise Europe Network and company missions. Those are basically trade missions with a focus on private companies. Now, to finish this part, I'll show you how to get in touch with the Enterprise Europe network, because, as I said, it might be a very relevant network for you. If you want to access the network, you go to this link and you go to search EU country, or if you're based outside the EU, you go to search non-EU country. And when you click on it, you select the country of your interest, which in my case would be the Netherlands. And here you get to see an overview of the companies or organizations in the Netherlands that are providing support to SMEs within the framework of the Enterprise Europe network. From the Enterprise Europe network, there are other networks, especially focused on the food industry, which might also be interesting for you. The first one is the EIP Agri. This is the Agricultural European Innovation Partnership that works in which companies work together, or organizations work together to foster competitive and sustainable farming and forestry, and achieve more and better qualities from less resources. Another one is the RUAF Foundation. This is a leading center of expertise and global partnership on sustainable urban agriculture and food systems. And this partnership is formed by strategically selected expert institutions in urban farming and to work together on food system solutions. The other two are the Agri-Adapt and the EIT Food. Agri-Adapt is a project that will focus on the adaptation measures that maintain or improve the farm competitiveness and address environmental challenges, of course, which is more and more prominent in European the European focus, so to say. And last but not least, as mentioned, the EIT Food. This is a pan-European consortium that focuses on entrepreneurship and innovation in the food sector. Members of the EIT food community are part of this, as said, with 50 partners from roughly 13 countries. A quick overview of networks that you can use and how clusters can be beneficial to you as an SME. Now we'll move to the next topic, how to build a trustworthy environment. So I'd like to give the floor to Morten from the Clean Cluster in Denmark.
First of all, what happens is when we want to build a trustworthy environment is that we meet a lot of people, we make a lot of connections, and we see a lot of possibilities. What often happens is also that we put often the people in some kind of boxes, both virtually and also physically. So I made the risk of actually presenting a little bit myself, both in terms of a photo, you can see me in the back of the picture, but also explaining who I am, not just professionally, but also what I do outside of work. Because what can be sometimes a risk is that when you have put people into a box, then they will usually, it's difficult to move them outside that box. And from our experience is that always good to be open and show interest in the people you want to work with if you want to create a workable environment. Say that we have this classical situation where we are used to work with similar people and we have similar partners. And why actually bother? We have already tried this before. This project, we know how to do it. And by the way, we're also the best. But think again when you want to meet new people. If you want to innovate and you want to be successful, be careful not to slip in the banana again. Simply open up your mind and see what can bring you to the table if you're a little bit more open to other people. And again, motivation, of course. What is motivating you and what is motivating your partners? That's often a starting point, because if you want to work with people, you have also to consider their state of mind and the goals. Are they actually achievable? Also considering what is the dedication from your side and also from your partners. Can there change in responsibility, and how do you make this happen? Motivation is often the very, very important part of this. Then of course also lowering the expectations. I've been working in this sector for more than 15 years now, and 15 years ago it was not enough just to be green or have the right mindset. You had to earn, you had to make sure that there was money involved in this. And we can just say that always consider to level expectation, and it can never be done too often. It can of course both be done orally but also writtenly. And it's often good when you level the expectations to have it written down, because we have seen that it can change simply the expectations during when you work together with other partners and people. Do not fear diversity. The classical old man's club, sitting together, doing the same thing, all are alike, it doesn't give a lot of innovation. And we have to expect also from Europe that even though we are innovating a lot, we will see a lot of things coming, most likely from Africa, but also from other parts of the world. So be open towards how you can use that in the environment. And even though you have people that are not that experienced, could they be able to take a lead in the process? Be open upon this, and maybe also give them the right support. To touch about the consortium agreement, in Clean we've been working a lot on securing the right tools, and we have actually a website that you're welcome to click into. It's called Clean Solutions with S in the end .dk. And what we have done here is that we have put a lot of templates for NDIs, for consortium agreements. They're all written in English, and you just need to have a login. It doesn't cost anything, and then you can go in and you can actually download the different templates and utilize them. I would recommend you that you have a look into the website. At the moment it's free for download, all the different templates. So it's called Clean Solutions with S in the end .dk. So when you are in a trustworthy environment, it's always a question of how you organize it. And my advice is always to use the different tools that are available, but use the tools that you are comfortable with also. So if you're organizing meetings, make sure that you have written agendas for the meetings, and also send it out before. Maybe people make sure that you have the things prepared before, and then don't waste time. Like if you have a structure for the meeting, and the meeting can just last half an hour, then don't spend 2 hours. Then the next part also is, of course, when you then decide something, send out the meetings, the minutes afterwards, like just with the decision points and the next steps. Then personally I like to use the Gantt charts, because it's easy to monitor also how you're working together and what is achieved. But use the tools that are comfortable for you. There are lots of tools available for this. But make it as structured as possible in order for people not to be surprised in this part of the process. Of course, classical. Don't cheat. I can say that a little bit of culture also, that unfortunately that no matter which part you're in, that there is, to some extent, if you don't have anything to speak about, then people that they sometimes tend to speak behind other people's back, and it's simply not advisable. It's much better to be honest. It's the people that are the good people that are working within this sector. They're recognized because they are honest and they are well working. And I've seen people that has been doing some very smart things within the technology, but have actually done this before, and it has hit them as a boomerang. So be careful, and be transparent, sincere in your way of working with people. See, of course, that brainstorming is to some extent something that is never underestimated. However, be prepared, or make the people aware what is the scope and what are the conditions for brainstorming, because it can take a lot of time, and only use it if it makes sense. And here again, also be aware that it can also have a similar effect as the boomerang. If you're not making progress within these kinds of meetings, people will not get the same sense that you are actually on top of things. For the communication, I always compare it a little bit to the schoolyard in the first grade, because you have a lot of different people and you have to treat them differently. There's both, of course, a little bit about the culture, that jokes can be good to use, but there's also somebody that might feel that they are a little bit VIPs that needs to be treated that way. And there can also be people that are not very communicative, but actually have some very strong point. So here it's again, it's important to be clear what you want to communicate. And then, of course, also consider that within the social media, more or less everybody are online socially. So you will always be able to find something about somebody in order to be prepared if you're meeting people for the first time. Well, this of course is obvious. Utilize the clusters. It's easy win because the clusters, they are all working for the companies. They want to create good working environments. What we see sometimes is that they can also be a good facilitator if that's needed, and they can also take a more neutral role in case there are some issues in the working environment. And sometimes they also have a little bit of extra time, so they can support you in the different processes. We have seen that there can be different ways of working, of course. Some prefer to work in teams, and others are better working individually. And that's a little bit of also about personality. So make sure of not just pushing teamwork upon people if they actually prefer to work individually, and then maybe just have some status from time to time. In this part of the process, if there is transparency, then it's often the best way of seeing what is the best way of working together. Yeah, I told it before also concerning the level of expectations. Like make sure that there's something in it. There's actually something that can be won into it. Never underestimate the power of money. And it can always be a motivator. However, even though I'm talking a lot about transparency, sometimes it's more important to be correct and use the correct way of making sure that people get their part of the pie, more than being transparent. But correctness here is of course always important. Yeah, make sure that the partners and people you're working with, they can become in situations where they have to prioritize, and this can be from different reasons. Either they can be overloaded, or maybe they have other things that they need to take care of. So always when you are leveling expectations, also make sure that people are not overloaded, because what often happens is that things go from bad to worse. And there, if you are on top of the process, always consider do you need a plan B in this type of working environment, because you can always consider yourself as plan B, but make sure that you are not overloaded than yourself. So always good to be considerable of a plan B. Then of course we're working in an international environment, and also as Matthijs was saying, that always considering the opportunities international, and don't be afraid to share. There will always be questions concerning the return of investment. However, if things are scalable and they are good opportunities and you find people in a trustworthy environment, then I've seen that it's actually possible to move something from Norway to Denmark to Italy to China in a 2 month time. It's simply a question of having the right mindset and making sure that you have the right return of investment. Yeah, maybe something that is of course very obviously, but make sure also to celebrate within the working environment. It's important because then you also get different angles of the people, and at least make sure that you have some kind of budget for these social activities. We often see that food and wine is a good mediator in this part of the process. Well, this was a very fast run through. You're of course very welcome to put questions in the Martin, or you're also welcome to contact me if you have any questions afterwards. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Morten. Then we'll now move to the third topic, how to write a successful proposal. And I'd like to give the floor to my colleague, Jantienne van der Meij.
Thank you, Matthijs. I will, here. Oh. I will start by telling you the most important thing, and that is that you always upfront have to ask yourself, why do I want to participate in a European project proposal? Because most of the time we are just looking for money to do what we want to do. But going into the process of writing a European project proposal is a lot more work than you can imagine upfront. So you have to think of things like, I want to strengthen my international network. I want to get new knowledge and expertise, or maybe you want to explore new markets in other countries. Maybe you need an international reference in another country. And in the last place, the reason why you want to join should be funding of your project, because you gain a lot, but it also costs a lot of work to write a proposal, but also to execute the proposal. So if you decided for yourself, I want to do this, I want to go for a European project, then you need to find out which European program is ideal for your ID, which topic fits the best. And that can be a Horizon 2020 project, a Eurostar project, or an EIT project. For instance, for SMEs, within Horizon 2020, the SME instrument is very interesting. They have different phases that will fund different actions. So, for instance, phase 1 is for feasibility projects. Phase 2 is for innovation projects to demonstrate your technology or service. And phase 3 is to support commercialization, so wider implementation of your innovation. Fast Track to Innovation is also a Horizon 2020 program, which supports innovation for close to market, breakthrough innovations. Both programs are really tailored towards SMEs, where you can have a lot of money going to the industrial part. For Fast Track to Innovation, this is up to 60% of the budget, which is a lot. For all these European programs, the general idea is that you work together with more than one country in the EU, which sounds logic. Normally, the minimum amount is three countries in total, with at least 3 participants. So if you want to do the minimum, you need 3 countries with each participant, and then you're done, but most of the time it's more. Another program that I would like to point out for you is Eurostars, which is a different program. So it's not under Horizon 2020. It has a different website, but it's very interesting because it is written to tailor SMEs. They are focused on R&D performing SMEs that develop innovative new products, processes or services that want to gain access to new markets within Europe and cooperate internationally to make their innovation undergo a rapid commercialization. These programs you can find online. But you find also help in the nations that you are coming from. If you are going to write a proposal, you have to make yourself known with the technology readiness levels, because the European Union is going to ask you in which TRL level your innovation is. So I wrote them down here for your convenience, and the normal course of action is that you have an idea, then you do basic research, then you're going to do applied research and go into demonstration projects, and after that your concept is ready to go to the market and you are ready to sell your product. This is a general idea of innovation, and NASA invented it a lot of years back. But the European Union adopted this as their way to measure your innovation rate. So it's really good to keep this in your mind and see in which phase your technology or your idea is, so that you can apply to the right programs in preparation. So you found your program that you want to apply for. Each program organizes info days. Please visit one, because you gain a lot of information from those information days. They are in Brussels, but they are most of the time also in the countries where you are living in. And there are national contact points that organize workshops. The European Union itself is also organizing workshops, and that can vary from how to organize the legal stuff or the financial stuff, or how to write an excellent proposal. Make use of those availabilities. Matthijs also mentioned the AIM program, which can help you find partners. The national contact points are present in each country, and at the website of the program that you want to put your proposal in, you can find their contact information. And all the information for most Horizon 2020 projects and the SME instrument Fast Track to Innovation, you can find at the ZINNAE website from the European Union. There are all documents that you need, and you can submit your proposal there too. So when the preparation phase is done, you have all the information that you want to have. You can start writing on your ID, but it's very important to keep in mind that the European Union is looking for projects that can help solve their challenges. So if you are writing your ID into a proposal, that is what you want to keep in mind. You have to tell the European Union why your project is going to help solve their challenges. So they're not interested in solving your challenges, they want you to help them solve their challenges. And to do that, you have to really read the call text, because each program will bring out a call with an end date, and the call text will be very legally written, but there is also an annotated template in which the European Union will explain what they mean by what they written in the call text. So that is a very helpful way to understand what they are really asking, because they are taking a lot of time to write such a call text. They really think about what it's getting, which words they are using. So it's really important to use those words in your proposal. That will gain you a lot of, well, more success rate than if you don't. So that are kind of the things about writing. But when you are writing, you also want to submit, obviously. But to submit your proposal through the online system, you need to undergo several steps before you can actually access the system, which is you have to apply for a participant identification code, which is a 9-digit code that you are getting from the European Union, by which you are recognized as a legal entity, so as an organization. If you don't have this code, you cannot access the submission portal. So that's quite a problem if you don't have it. The European Union will validate your data that you give them. So it is not a matter of days, but more a matter of weeks before you receive your PIC code. So please apply for this early on. After you receive your code, as an organization, you have to appoint a legal entity representative. So a person within your organization that is responsible for all proposals that you as an organization are going to apply within the system. This person can also appoint other people. So for instance, someone with legal or financial background, or someone that can sign a grant agreement or a financial statement. These people are very important to have in the system so that whenever you have a wish to apply, they are already there and you don't have to organize that up front. What you also need to do, especially as SME, is the financial capacity check. The European Union will do that at the moment that you are applying, but it is good for yourself to do the self-check up front, so you know what they are looking for, that you know what your answers will be for that. This is obliged if you get more than 500,000 euros on grants money. If you're below that, the self-check is sufficient, and otherwise the European Union will do a tougher check. With getting all these administrative stuff done, so you don't have problems in the end with the application process. And if you are in a consortium, you're not the only one who has to do this. All the other people in the consortium need to do this too. So it's most of the time the responsibility of the lead partner, but it's good to think about this. And like Morten also said, put your consortium agreement on paper as early as possible, so you know what you're agreeing to with each other next to the ID, the project ID that you're writing. Okay, what is a good consortium? Well, Morten told us about it a little bit, but in EU terms, it is a well-balanced and complementary consortium. So not only SMEs or not only research organizations, but a mix of governmental organizations, SMEs, research organizations, societal organizations, and very, very important end users. They really love it when you get the end users upfront in your project to think about what they need at the end of the project and get them involved in the project. So this nice picture that I put in the slide gives kind of the idea of how the TRL levels are working for the programs that are there. So I talked about Eurostars, which is in applied research, and I talked about Fast Track to Innovation and the SME instrument, which is in the demonstration phase, so more up in the TRL levels. And the basic research is more oriented towards research organizations. But even there, most of the times they benefit from SMEs, from companies that are joining their project. But this is a really different type of project than if you're doing a demonstration project, obviously. Under Horizon 2020, there are two kinds of projects that are relevant for companies. That are the research and innovation action and the innovation action. And research and innovation action is really applied research, where you can get up to 100% funding. And innovation action is more towards demonstration projects, so more towards the market, where you can get up to 70% funding. Although if you are a non-profit organization, you can still get up to 100%. And here also the minimums are 3 participants from 3 countries. And as you can see in the picture, the more money is available most of the time, the more partners there will be in a consortium. Too fast. This is also a very important one to think about ahead of time, because when you see a nice call and you think, oh, it's 3 months away, let's start, then well, you can do it if you have already good partners in mind and you have already a very well-defined ID. But normally it takes 6 months really to build a good consortium, to see what the European Union wants, and then not only go to the usual suspects, but also find new parties that are helping you to make good impact. Then you have to write the proposal. So this is not only after this 6 months, but also during the 6 months that you're building a consortium. Then you submit your proposal. The evaluation process of the European Union is not really fast. So normally you have to wait between 4 to 5 months before you get the letter that says, well, you are approved, congratulations, or unfortunately, we didn't approve your project. Good luck with the next round. And you're not done then. I mean, your journey will start there. So you will have to prepare the grant agreement and then execute the project and make sure that what you promised, the impact that you promised, that you're also going to reach the impact that you promised. Very important, because getting your proposal approved is a very good accomplishment within the European Union, but then the journey just started. So make sure that you have enough capacity within your organization to work on the project, because the European Union is going to keep you to your promises. I mean, you're going to sign a grant agreement, you have to sign internally probably an IP agreement, depending on which phase you are in. You have to deliver financial and technical reports to the European Union, and you have to keep all the deadlines, because they're very strict in deadlines. And even if you didn't meet the deadline, you have to explain why you didn't meet the deadline and how you're going to make sure that you're going to reach the deadline the next time. If there are any other questions, you can email me or put them in the box next to this, the chat box, and I will be happy to answer them.
All right, thank you, Jantienne, for this presentation. As Jantienne already said, when you submit a proposal, there might be a chance that the European Commission declines your proposal. And Tom Vereijken will tell us more about what to do when your proposal is not approved or when there's no success in your applications. Tom, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Matthijs. Good morning, everybody, from a very rainy Brussels. Yes, I'm at the end of the trip. If your proposal is not rewarded, then what do you do? Obviously, there's a big chance of not being rewarded. It changes a bit depending on the type of program that you are appreciating, but not much is lost then, because I think creating a proposal and building a consortium has many advantages and will bring you further in your journey to innovation success. But from a VIDA point of view, suppose you have been putting a proposal for a voucher and you find out that you're not being selected. Then what will happen first is that the information which was the basis for your rejection will be in the letter you receive. Now this might be a bit general stated, and so I suggest, in case you have a real confidence in your proposal, that you contact your national point of contact or a consortium member of VIDA, and you can find all the details, contact details, on the VIDA website. Because there are a number of reasons which might lead to the rejection of your proposal. Of course, there could be procedural reasons, or your technology readiness level is too low. It could be that the budget of VIDA has exhausted, and then we have to stop allocating budget to the proposals. It could also be because of the consortium composition not entirely fits with what VIDA would like you to do. And of course, another element is that VIDA's targets have to be respected, and you should add to the, let's say, to the value chain in the food industry using water, energy, and KET technologies. Of course, what you find innovative and somebody else might not find so innovative, and very often this is also a reason for not being selected. What we would like to see is a real step change in the value process of the food industry. And so these incremental innovations are usually less valued than the main steps forward. And there might be a dozen of other reasons for your rejection. So because of that, I suggest that you get more clarity if you would like to continue with your proposal, but in another way. Like I said, and it's been mentioned, I think, by Morten and Jantienne before, the rejection is one thing, but you do already have something very valuable, and that is the consortium with whom you submitted your proposal. Building a consortium is an extreme effort, and it's worth keeping up and taking it into another scheme, maybe with some slight changes or some other tasks divided, but this is already a main step towards a successful proposal, that you have a standard, solid consortium in place. Now, the advice that you received, even if it is a rejection and it might be disappointing, I advise you to take it well into consideration. We have a whole pool of key experts in the field that have looked at your proposal, and so the elements that they bring forward might be of some use for you in order to improve and apply for another system. And again, your national contact point is ready to help you with that. And also we at CEW have a specific task within VIDA to look after the projects that have been rejected and that are looking for more support. A number of other programs already mentioned by Jantienne in the frame of European funding support. There are very, very many. From a VIDA point of view, you could also look at other VIDA support vouchers that are there. Suppose that there is still sufficient budget. These vouchers are available until the end of this year broadly. But if the funds run out, then the vouchers have to stop. So that's one option. Take a step back and maybe seek for other support at a little lower level and build it up from there. I would suggest special attention for the InnoSub funding, because InnoSub has a cascade funding system, which is very attractive because you will receive 100% of your costs covered. Not all other programs have that. You will still have to bring in your own money or organize different fundings for the projects you want to do. But in the cascade funding within InnoSub, 100% coverage is there. Also, There are many other projects like VIDA that exist, and if you have a look around on the InnoSub website, you will find significant other programs that have a similar setup, working with innovation support, with validation vouchers, and with large-scale pilots. Then in addition, new projects under the InnoSub funding are starting all the time, and it's likely that this type of funding will continue as well. Well, within the other European programs, you've seen from Jantienne how many other opportunities there are. But specifically on innovation support, that's the abbreviation of InnoSub, I would like to mention that the European Commission has this policy to support the cooperation between sectors. They think that some hidden innovations might pop up, and also that there will be economic growth coming from the development of new innovations where different sectors are using each other's technologies. Now, this policy, therefore, is likely to continue. From what I hear now in Brussels, even with the new European Commission, this will continue. And remember, VIDA is just one project of many. So that means that opportunities to work in clusters or with clusters will have a broad support in national or European subsidy programs. For the ones that have looked carefully at the sheet of Jantienne, you will see at the bottom of this one the similar site as where she was referring to. And I think this is an extremely useful site to keep track of funding opportunities that are there. You see the VIDA demonstration voucher as an example being open right as we speak. But also many other proposals could be held against these opportunities for funding, and it is a very useful site to check every now and then to see if there's something where you could fit in. This has been my contribution, specifically to the ones that have had a rejection of a VIDA project. I hope you can see that there are many other opportunities to benefit from, and we are there to help you. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Tom, for this presentation. Now I would like to give the floor to Marisa Fernandez from ZINNAE, who will tell us more about the good practices from the awarded projects in the VIDA project. Marisa, over to you.
Thank you, Matthijs. Thank you all my colleagues for the presentation. So yes, I'm going to finish with some good practices just for the success of your proposals, because I suppose that you are going to present a proposal to the second call of the VIDA project. So I'm going to give you some tips and recommendations that could help you. Yes, what the evaluation of the first VIDA call has shown us some repeated mistakes. So this, what we are going to provide you some tips and recommendations to avoid these mistakes and help you to present a good proposal. And there are just some basic questions, but also that just with some basic considerations, and also a few questions just related to the VIDA context. So these basic questions I can resume in 3. So the proposal should be clear, the proposal should answer to the questions of the template, and the proposal is not compulsory that was cross-regional, but it could be positive. So when some weeks ago we have a webinar with 3 of the winning proposals of the first VIDA call, and when we asked them to tell us why they thought their proposal had chosen to be one of the winners, the 3 agree on one point: clarity. So we must have in mind that we are talking about innovative solutions, that evaluators do not have to know about these solutions. So it is essential to be very clear, and that anyone who reads the proposal, it can understand. Keep in mind that you are very familiar with the project and the technology. It's very clear for you, but maybe it's not the same for the evaluators. Answer to the question is look too simple, but we have seen many proposals where we cannot find answer to what the template is asking. We have found many proposals that has not explained well the question, what is the TRL level of the technology? So they have not provided enough information, or this was not clear. So sadly, 39 of the percentage of the proposals approved but not aware. They didn't explain well the TRL. So, and also there are other two questions to have into consideration. That to answer to the questions, it's important to use all the space in the application, because also we have evaluated many proposals that they didn't use all the space. And also pay attention to the budget. Some proposals have been rejected because they were serious concerned about the budget. So it has to be clear and has to be rational. About the cross-regional question, in the first VIDA call, 5 of the 8 aware projects are cross-regional. It is not compulsory, but it is evident that evaluators find a very positive aspect, the collaboration of the SMEs of the different regions. So, but also take this aspect into consideration when the cross-regional collaboration could add value, because also to prove a new technology or solution in another country increase the difficulty. So think about a cross-regional proposal only when add value. VIDA provides tools to create cross-regional proposals. We have the working groups related to the VIDA challenges, where it is possible to find expression of interest of the SMEs looking for collaboration and offering collaboration. So yes, use the Club 5 tool to participate in these working groups. So this was the 3 basic questions to take into account, but also I want to mention some specific questions that are related to VIDA. We have received many proposals that are innovative solutions, that are very good proposals, but they are not answering completely to all the VIDA objectives. For instance, we have received some proposals that offer solutions to the question of monitoring, that just, for instance, innovative solutions to monitor water pollution, but they are not offering solutions to reduce that pollution. So I think this monitoring question is very important for the water sector, but is not fulfilling the VIDA objective. So they are not the kind of project to present to VIDA call. So what we are looking for in the VIDA focus, in the VIDA project, it is necessary to bring solutions to the challenges in the food sector. It is necessary to bring solutions that are reducing water and energy consumption. And VIDA wants to promote the key-enabled technologies to bring these solutions. So VIDA will award projects that bring solutions to the challenges of the food sector, and it is not enough to bring a solution to the challenges of the water or the energy sector. The focus on the food and food value chains is essential. Other important question is that the VIDA project look for solution that has a high impact on the food sector. So is something, the solution which development will mean a significant change for the sector. So also in the proposal specified the expected impact in terms of competitiveness and growth. But also don't forget about the social benefit and the environmental benefits. And then, just to finish, some tips that could help you to prepare your proposal. For instance, look for the support to have an external reader and check that the proposal is written clear and understandable. Also, pay special attention to the TRL explanation. Provide sufficient evidence to prove that the technology for which you are requesting support is at the TRL level between 6 to 8 before starting to the project when applying for a demonstration voucher, and TRL 5 when applying for an innovation support voucher and validation voucher. Also, bring solution to the food sector challenges. Check the 10 challenges that the VIDA project has identified. However, this list is not exclusive. If you believe that you have a good case and solution, then submit your application. Explain what makes your innovation stand out from the best available technology. What is the difference of your solution? What is the impact? So this is also important to explain in the template. And explain the impact of your proposal of the technology to the end users or to the industry. How is this impact affecting to the food sector? The fact is just going to the cross-regional, is add value or no. The fact is that 62% of the aware projects are cross-regional, but only makes sense is add value. Remember this because it's not just could be an extra complication. For this, follow the common sense to decide these questions. So, to resume, so what we are looking for? We are looking for innovative solutions that could make a difference in the food sector, solutions that are more resource efficiency, reducing water and energy consumption, and promote the K-enabled technology to bring this solution, and solutions that are close to the market, and we have a big impact no, in terms of this of competitiveness and growth, and also the social and environmental impact. And just a last tip, don't wait to the last minute. It's important to do it with enough time to prepare the proposal. Sure that you have a very innovative solution and technologies. Go on to prepare a proposal for the second VIDA call. I think if you follow these recommendations, you're successful. You will have a successful proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Marisa, for this presentation. If there are any questions, now is the time to ask your questions. As I mentioned in the beginning, you can ask your questions in the chat on the right side of the screen. So we'll give you some a moment to raise your questions there. In the meantime, I would like to thank the speakers already for their time and contribution to this presentation. I think it's been very valuable and helpful to the companies. And yeah, let's see if there are any questions. If there's no questions, then I would like to thank you for your attention. As mentioned in the beginning, the presentation will be put on the VIDA website. There will be extra material as well published on the website later on. So if you look back at this presentation and you do have any questions, our contact details are in there, and you're welcome to contact us directly. Thank you all for your attention and for your time, and then now I'd like to finish this webinar. Thank you.